Here's the question. How do you make the impossible possible? Simple. Remove the I am, the ego. Now, how do you step into that newfound possibility? With a series of small intentional steps. Never forget, the greatest among us started from humble beginnings. But to truly unlock your potential, realize you're here for something greater. If you're yearning for more than just a good life, let's take that small step together to reach greatness. Welcome to the Greatness from Small Beginnings podcast, where we're talking to those who have gone from mediocrity to motivated, overlooked to overachieving, forgettable to unforgettable. Are you ready? Let's go. Well, hello, everybody. Today's going to be a little random because I'm going to throw some random thoughts out at you. One of them, 7 of them, are from an email that I picked up somewhere, and it says 7 more random thoughts. And I appreciate that. But I think I'm going to share these, and then I got one other thing that I pulled off of Instagram that was kind of in an interview with Michael Jordan. And I think maybe I'll do that one last. But this is, of course, a podcast, The Greatness from Small Beginnings. And my wife happens to be home today with me, and sometimes I record when she's, elsewhere. But today she's here, and I said, yeah, I got to go. I'm going to go record a quick podcast, and it's my therapy session. And she gives me this look like, because life is a little rough at the moment. But I appreciate the fact that when I'm doing these things, it's really good reminders. I say this on almost every one of these. It's really good reminders for myself to be careful, to consider, to look at the 7 random thoughts and the content in them, whether I disagree or agree, doesn't really matter. But I'm going to share, I think it's 10 thoughts that I'm going to unfold a little bit. So we'll start with the easy ones. Okay, 7 random thoughts. Fitness, business, advertising, marketing, and life in general are not games. They're not games with a finish line. So consider that. Fitness, business, if you're in business, and people with a 9-to-5 job or whatever your time frame is, well, those have a finish line. But you think about the other things that don't. Fitness, business, advertising, marketing. Oh man, that is so true. I was in a marketing meeting earlier today, and boy, I didn't come out more confused because the person was literally trying to be helpful. And did I appreciate that. But now the question comes, is what they are talking about and offering, if I spent the same amount of dollars with them, would they be better spent dollars? And boy, there's a lot of questions, right? So marketing never ends. And life does not have a finish line, though when you die, you're finished. Living life, though, should be lived without, as if there is no finish line. And those that live it well, those that even after they're gone, we look at them and they say, they live life to the fullest. Those are the type that I would like to be like, that have lived it without seeing as if there was a finish line. Oh, next one says this. I'm not sure how much I agree with it, so we'll see how this comes out. Don't do your best. It's not good enough. Do what it takes. Oh. So I guess there's a lot of ways I do believe that. Do what it takes. Sometimes you have to compromise certain, not principles necessarily, and not values in most cases, but sometimes I think about when I need to finish a job in a certain time frame or with a certain amount of material. got to stretch things, make them work, finish a project, finish a project at work, and not everything is perfect. Sometimes you don't do your best. I didn't think about that until I just started talking about it. Sometimes you can't do your best to get to the finish line, uh, to do what it takes. Huh. And then even then, sometimes doing your best isn't good enough. Doing what it takes can be framed differently, and it's not your best or it's beyond your best. Think about recently ran a 50K, a little over 31 miles. And I remember thinking, so there was this woman that ran within a few hundred yards of me, literally for about 20 of the 31 miles. She was within sight a lot of the time. And when I got near the end, there was an aid station about 3.1 miles from the finish. And I remember just before I got there, I had this feeling that it was coming up because it was a 2 lap thing, and I ran it last year also, so I knew where it was. And no, I think it was just after the aid station. She came into the aid station ahead of me, and I didn't spend much time there, but she left just ahead of me. And so I went back to my pace, and within a less than 100 yards from her. And then I thought, I looked at my watch and the pace I was going, and I'm like, I think I can beat my time from last year if I put extraordinary effort into into this thing. And so I said, okay, well, that being said, I've got to get past her, because I wouldn't say she was slowing me down. She was at a pace that I was going, and yet I got the feeling she wasn't going to go faster. Okay, so I decided quarter of a mile into that last 3.1 miles that I would pass her and make my best instead of being having her determine the pace that I would take. And what happened, long story short, I ran the same race, the same 50K last year, and I came in a certain amount of time. This year I ran it again. It was much wetter. They had built a section of trail, and so it was completely mudded out. And it's a 2 loop thing. And on the second loop, it was a disaster. It was terrible. First loop, not as bad, because there was also a 25K. So 100 people had been through there, more than 100 maybe, had been through there before I took my second loop through there. And it was terrible. Fell down once, and, had to go slow during that section and a few others. So when I took off past her, not took off, I told her, yeah, I'm going to try this, and hopefully I'll be able to keep a, fast enough pace to stay out of your way. And I started running a little bit faster, and I did in that 3 mile section a little better than I thought I would do. And the blessing of that was that though it was wetter, and though there was a new trail that was super muddy, and I had fallen down a couple of times, once during that section and once during a different section, I beat my time by 5 minutes. My goal was actually 30 minutes faster. My optimum was like, oh, wouldn't it be great if I could take an hour off at the time, which I realized soon into the race that wasn't going to happen. But pacing myself and working hard, I thought, okay, maybe I'll be able to do a half an hour. Started looking at my watch and went, yeah, that's not happening either. But I'm going to do my best to beat my time. And so that's what I did. And so I put in the effort, and I did what it took. And actually, I went a little bit above what I thought I could do, forced myself, told myself not to give in, and I beat my time by 5 minutes. Not exemplary, but good. Number three, a smart man knows his limits, and that is actually true. But a wise man knows he has none. Well, I do believe that there are certain limits. I started running 6 years ago. I'm 62 now, almost 63. And I started running in my late 50s, and I've never been a runner. And my breathing was all jacked up, and I had to work really hard. My heart rates would spike because of how the different things I did in life. And I'm not sure if that's the whole limits thing is about having no limits is really true. Can be very encouraging to think that and feel that and to kind of live in those moments of needing that confidence and that motivation. But I'm not sure it's true. It's never been true for me. I've had to come to terms with the fact that um, I was never going to play in the NBA. I was never going to play in the NFL. And I wanted to desperately when I was young to play in the NFL. But I just didn't have any talent. I didn't get physical ability until I was 30. uh, and I tell my wife often and my kids often, it's a good thing that the Ninja Warrior show wasn't available when when I was in my 20s because I probably would have trained like a madman. I probably would have built a course in my yard and trained like a madman and done that because those kind of physical activities I could really do well at. But football I didn't have much talent. I loved football in high school. I was small. I was fast for a short period of time. I was quick, but I could not sustain my speed. And so I'm just not a fast guy, not in NFL material. No doubt about it. So do I have limits? I think I do. And to be realistic about those is good. But when it comes to business and even ultra running, maybe I do some more of that. Do I have limits there? Well, probably yes, because I've damaged my hips and mostly my hips and my back. I've had 3 back surgeries. Well, that puts limits in your life. And so it's not bad to abide in that thought that, yeah, I am limited, but I am unlimited also at the same time in different ways, in different parts of my life. Here's one that's true. If you're easily offended, you're easily manipulated. So be very careful with that. Don't allow, here's a way to see it. If someone knows that about you, they they will often take advantage and manipulate you. So if you're easily offended, keep your mouth shut, keep it to yourself, and reconcile that offense into something that is an offense. You need to not be offended. And that's actually a biblical thought, is it that if you remain in offense, then go get it straightened out with the other person. Go reconcile is the word that the Bible uses that you need to do. If you have offended somebody, go reconcile. If you are offended by somebody, go reconcile. And you can't do that unless you're in a forgiveness mode because you might hear something you don't want to hear. They may be defensive and not want to reconcile, but if you've done your part, then that's what you can do. Uh, People are motivated and inspired by what you do and not what you say. They're also discouraged and frustrated by what you do. So your doing is related to your being, which is what you are on the inside, comes out in your actions, your words and actions. And that's what affects other people. Either they're motivated and inspired by who you are and what you do, or you bring them down. They're demotivated and uninspired. And I have been going through some rough things in my life lately, and I've thought about some people that I'm around often. I really want to serve them. This is at work. I really want to serve them and help them. But sometimes my attitude is not in a good space. And so, though I do the activities of serving them, I need to do a little better job of engaging deeper. Of, I mean, not being friendlier. That's not necessarily what I'm saying, but to put the more mental and emotional effort into what I'm doing for them and with them, because I do need to serve those people at work, and there's a couple in particular. See, this number 6 says the harder you work, the harder it is to give up. That's true, because you almost build a framework. This fits with the random thought. I have one about Michael Jordan. And this fits with the random thought that I'll share in a minute. But if you put in hard work that is process driven, hard work, then you deserve outcome. You, in a way, are entitled to the outcome. So the harder you work, the harder it is to give up is also true. Foolish hard work, foolishness in being a hard worker, um, is not what is being talked about here. There was a guy that I knew that said, "I'm the hardest worker here," and he knew that he was a hard worker, but he was not the hardest worker. Often that just wasn't true. I called it out one time, and he got really mad at me, and I shouldn't have done it. It was bad timing, but he thought he really was the hardest worker, and I didn't. I always thought I was too, until I met a few people that could work harder than me. And then I realized, that's not really I need to use my head as much as my back, and that I can be a hard worker through that also. And also providing ideas, hard work ideas, um, and even work saving ideas for the team that I'm on, whoever I'm at work, athletic team, something like that. 7, courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you keep going anyway. Oof. That resonates with me these days. It does. I need to keep going, and I need to have courage. I need to sometimes pull my bootstraps up and say, no, I'm going to keep going. This is hard. I don't like it. I don't like the lack of encouragement, the response, the things I need to keep going. And it's not about, you certainly can't give up. If you have courage, you will find a way to keep going. And courage drives you. So in the Bible, one of the most used phrase, I believe, if I remember right, it's 365 times in the Bible. It says, do not fear, or don't be afraid, or some version of don't be afraid, don't be fearful. And that is a good thing to remember, is don't be afraid. I was able to share that with somebody this morning. I said, don't fear. Don't fear. You got this. You're gonna do better. You're gonna do better than you've done in the past. And I know you're scared, but you can do this. And that was nice to be able to say it, because I have been living it some. Got to live with courage. A bonus random thought from Bruce Lee. Many of you have heard this one. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks one time, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Perfect something, some system, some process, some movement, something. And you will respect yourself, and others will respect you because you have become an expert at something. And then practice that thing in the right context, and you are golden. Also, a random thought for me. Again, this doing these podcasts are like me finding my greatness as I'm verbalizing, as I'm pointing back at myself. I point at you, and I got 3 fingers pointing back at me. My dad used to say that, and it's funny, but it's true. Something that I've done for myself, and actually kind of God did it for me, is my wife and I got a dog. She's 7 years old. She's a pit bull mix, and she's kind of a small, short little female pit bull, and she's wonderful. She's as sweet as they come. But we ended up with her because a good friend of ours died a month or so ago, and he asked us over a year ago, "Will you take her? I would like to live at your place, and I think she would too. So when when I pass, will you take her in?" And we've done that, and we're enjoying her a lot. Did not think we'd have that kind of dog again. We thought we'd have a smaller one that would be, I don't know, just fit more in our mindset. But she's not huge, and she's a sweetheart. And I will tell you that on hard days, it is nice to come home and to sit on the floor with her and have her just come up close, and I pet her, and as long as we feed her, as long as we let her out, she is good. She loves us, and she accepts us, and she enjoys being at our house. And that is something really good about dogs. Well, cats too, I suppose. I'm not much of a cat person, but we got a dog, and she's wonderful. And she is a good companion. And to take her in the car is a joy. Take her somewhere to places she loves going. And that energy and that livelihood, that life is really wonderful. So here's the last, there's several pieces to this. So here's the last thing about Michael Jordan, random thought. I will start with this and finish with it because it's the most poignant part of this. Put in the work, and the result will be bestowed upon you. Put in the work, and the result will be bestowed upon you. He also said in that interview that I was listening to, if it's something you like strive for, that you're focused on and leaning in towards, often you'll miss it or you won't get there. He didn't start playing basketball till he was 12. He, but one of the first thing, and he was, if you remember it, when he was probably 14 or 15, he was cut from the team when he was a sophomore. He realized then that the process of getting better, the process of practicing the techniques, the right things over and over and over again is what would get him onto the varsity team and then into college and then, so on and so forth. And then to become possibly the GOAT, right? If it's something you are striving so hard for, you may not get it. He said, if you chase outcomes, you'll never see it, but you'll end up frustrated. So the outcome is what you're after, the goal. But if you don't see the process and you don't do the process, the small things that get you there, you won't. I know some people that are doing that very thing right now, and it's so frustrating to watch. It's like, no, the process of living your life correctly, having your mind in the right place, having your body healthy, doing things morally and ethically. I know several people, I could list them, and I pray for them often. And I say, you need to do things God's way, and you'll get what God promised. You'll get what He's promising you if you'll do it the right way. I was sitting with a friend an hour or so ago, and we ended up talking about that. And sometimes the hard times we go through are the testing ground of that concept. That sometimes we get frustrated because we don't get the result, and it's not the result we're actually after, it's the process we're after. The result will come, it will be bestowed upon us. Another person in the interview says, if you do the system, build a system that builds the right habits, the right mindsets, the right things, then you will get the result. But you can't just have the result be the goal and force it, and you'll never get there. I thought it was really good. Ask instead, what system will make the result inevitable? Man, that's a really good question. What system, process do I have to go through? What practice do I have to do to make the result inevitable? Hmm. Really good advice. And that's going to help me this week. What do I have to do to make the result inevitable? The little spots in my life where things are a little off. What do I have to do? So join me in that, in becoming the greatest people that you can be. I'm going to read a quote from my good friend Zig Ziglar. You were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. You still got to go through a process to get the desired result. Absolutely. Now, the thing I love saying at the end of every one of these is a challenge to you and me. We get to choose. We get to choose to be that person. We get to choose to build a process in us to the good, to get us to the good stuff. And the question is, what system would make the result inevitable? Then make your greatness inevitable. Now go be